Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you. How much water do you think you're going to need to get through when we don't have access to our wells or our municipal water supply? What I'd like to cover today is the steps that we're taking to make sure that we're going to have enough water available to us so that we can survive what's coming if we don't have power, if we don't have access to our wells, if we don't have access to our municipal water supply. So I've got a bunch of these. This one's empty, or I'm Superman, one or the other. But the whole idea is to be able to make sure that you have enough water to get you through. Seems it's been said in the past that we need per person a gallon of water a day, and that is way too certainly not enough. How's that? 1 gallon of water per person per day may provide you with enough to remain hydrated during the day and maybe give you a little bit to wash your hands and face with, and that's about it. So if you want to cook, if you want to flush a toilet, if you want to be able to enjoy some water, take a shower, those kinds of things, you're going to need much more than a gallon of water per person per day, and I'm thinking that it should be more like 3 or 4 gallons per person per day. So let me back into this and let me show you what we're doing around here for water. In addition to the aquatainers that I've got in our prep storage area, and I think I've got altogether 12. I think there's 10 downstairs, and I've got 2 filled 7 gallons upstairs, 1 near the kitchen and 1 on the second floor near the upstairs bathrooms. So just in case we need it. So there's a bunch of water there. I've got bottled water that you can pick up in the store with the little 1 pint plastic containers that we would set aside for just drinking water, pure drinking water. Also, behind me here you see my 275 gallon water tote, and I fill it with rainwater runoff from the eaves troughs from the roof of the house down here, and there's a pipe that kind of connects everything in. It takes about 1 inch or 1.25 inches of rain, so a decent thunderstorm will fill that from being empty. You notice that it's covered in black plastic, and that is to try to retard any algae growth. If you keep it in the white containers and you keep it outside, the light encourages the algae to grow inside the water tote. So I learned a long time ago that if you cover it with black plastic and you got to take it out of the frame, set it up, get the black plastic on it. We're using 6 mil black plastic that you can pick up at any one of your local big box stores. Get a roll big enough to do a couple of these so that as it wears out you can replace it. And then I put another layer on top because that's where the sun really beats down on it, and that'll over a couple 3 years it'll just kind of wear through. Over in the distance right there you can see one of the 2 55 gallon water barrels that I've got, and I picked those up a long time ago and I had them stationed around the house to catch rainwater coming down out of individual spouts that are in the corners of the houses and stuff. And when we had our eaves troughs all redone, when we had the siding put on, I decided that I was just going to move them out here, not ruin the downspouts or anything by tapping into them. So I brought it out here, and I used the 275-gallon tank once that gets filled, and I'll transfer the water into the 55-gallon drums. Now, as far as maintenance goes, I don't generally throw bleach or anything like that in the outdoor containers. I do dump them out, basically pump them out in the dead of winter. So just before Christmas, I'll dump these and hose them down, set them back up, wait until probably the 1st or so of March. So they're pretty much out of commission in January and February. And I'll fill it back up, get things hooked back up, and let the first couple of rainstorms fill the things up, transfer the stuff. And while they're empty, I will take the power washer and clean out the inside, throw a little bleach in when I do that to clean it out, let it drain well, and fill it back up, keep it going pretty much 10 months of the year. There are 2 months where we're a little bit vulnerable in the dead of winter, which is sometimes when you get the big nasty storms that do knock out the power and stuff like that, when you're really going to need the water. So that's kind of a never-ending process when it comes to it, and it refills from the eaves truss, from off the roof, the rainwater catchment process that I rigged up, and it's not very efficient. It's not, there's some sediment that makes its way through and all that, but for just a couple of bucks, we were able to get this thing working. We use this to water the garden, water the lawn, water our trees, do all that kind of stuff. It's basically gray water. Now, I've had that question asked of me in the past, is like, well, if I catch rainwater off my roof, can I boil it, filter it, and do all that kind of stuff? And I would think yes, but that's why I've got other systems in place that I use. The aquatainers, the 7-gallon and the 5-gallon aquatainers that I use municipal water supply to fill those things up. And I rotate it out once a year or so, and it keeps pretty much forever. You don't really need to worry about it. And that would be our primary source for drinking water, cooking, that kind of stuff. We can use the gray water in the totes and in the barrels for flushing toilets, watering gardens, even taking a shower in, that kind of a thing. So it works okay for that. I would be hesitant to recommend to you that you use a Berkey water filter or use bleach or whatever and filtration to get that kind of rainwater that's coming off your roof to a point where it's potable for human consumption. I would be somewhat concerned about that. We've got an asphalt roof, like millions of other people do, and there's chemicals in the asphalt and in the adhesives that they use to hold everything together that may not be the best for you. So in a pinch, in a dire emergency, if you didn't have any water to drink, yeah, I'd boil it, I'd filter it, run it through a Berkey water filter, run it through like a Life Straw, that kind of a thing, and then you may be okay, but I wouldn't always bet on it. So I would be remiss in making that recommendation to you. That's why we've got a couple of different sources. So I just kind of wanted to go over in total what we've got. And keeping in mind that I'm estimating a minimum of 3 gallons per day per person, and there's 2 of us living in our house. So now you know, 6 gallons a day. We've got 12 7-gallon aquatainers that I showed you in the beginning. We've got 2 that are a little bit smaller, 5 gallons, that we usually use for, like, when we go camping, go on a trip or something like that, to throw one of those in. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit less weight to carry around, but you know, 5 gallons is 5 gallons. And we've got scattered around the house at least 12 flats or cases of the 1-pint plastic water containers that you can pick up at the local supermarket and all that. So bottled water. We've got 12 cases of that. They're approximately a pint per, and I've got, there's 24 in a case. So altogether, I can estimate that we've got about 36 gallons of potable water in those little water jugs that you can get at the supermarket. So with the 275-gallon tote here and 2 55-gallon barrels, altogether I've got 515 gallons of water sitting around waiting for me to use it at any particular moment in time. So when you figure 6 gallons, 2 people times 3 gallons per day, I've got 86 days of water available to me here. And that's assuming that it's not going to rain, that we can continue to fill up the water totes and the water barrels and stuff like that. We do have a Berkey. We use it. It's a wonderful thing to have. We've got life straws. In fact, there's a life straw in every one of our get home bags, every one of our any kind of a bag. We've got a couple just stashed in the Jeep that we carry around with us pretty much all the time. So probably got 5 or 6 life straws around. And I would recommend that if you can forecast the weather and you've got big nasty storms coming your way that you might be experiencing power outages and stuff like that, you can pick up what they call a tub liner. And it's just a kind of a big plastic bag that you can put in your tub and fill it up before the power goes out. And you're going to have, Lord knows, probably 20 gallons of water in a tub liner. So if you've got a couple of bathrooms and you got a couple of tubs, you can have enough water there to flush toilets, take a bath in, that kind of a thing. So that's kind of a good backup plan for that. And the other things that we have experimented with in the past is using milk jugs, gallon milk jugs, and other kind of jugs that you get beverages in, soda pop and that kind of stuff. But you can never get the original whatever flavor was in there, out of there. You can rinse till you're blue in the face a milk carton. You fill it with water, let it sit for 3 or 4 months, and it's going to have a faint odor and even an aftertaste of milk. If you do it with soda pop in the 2-liter jugs of soda pop, it's going to taste like Dr. Pepper a little bit when you do it. If you can put up with that, it's a good thing to use if that's all you can afford, if that's what you are used to, if that's all you got room for, all that kind of stuff. So that's our water story from here. It's how we prep with water, which is one of the basics of life. So this is the Prepared Suburbanite, reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.